professional, trustworthy, and human. Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank, creating shelter and words for yo. Wealth for yo. So choose IFA, INF, or ISO. Access your national housing funds. If it works for you, then it works for us. Choose IFA, INF, or ISO. Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank, creating shelter and wealth for you. Shelter and wealth for you. Infinity Mortgage Bank, creating shelter and wealth for you. Working hard to make our living should not end your chance of living. We can help you plan your spending, bear your burden while you're living. No, Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank, professional, trustworthy, and human. Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank, creating shelter and words for yo. Wealth for yo. So choose IFA, INF, or ISO. Access your national housing funds. If it works for you, then it works for us. Choose IFA, INF, or ISO. Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank, creating shelter and wealth for you. Shelter and wealth for you. Infinity Mortgage Bank, creating shelter and wealth for you. Working hard to make our living should not end your chance of living. We can help you plan your spending, bear your burden while you're living. No, Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank, professional, trustworthy, and human. Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank, creating shelter and words for yo. Wealth for yo. So choose IFA, INF, or ISO. Access your national housing funds. If it works for you, then it works for us. Choose IFA, INF, or ISO. Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank, creating shelter and wealth for you. Shelter and wealth for you. Infinity Mortgage Bank, creating shelter and wealth for you. Working hard to make our living should not end your chance of living. We can help you plan your spending, bear your burden while you're living. No, Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank, professional, trustworthy, and human.
Check 1 2 check.
Working hard to make our living should not end your chance of
Good morning,
living.
all.
We can help you
Good
plan
morning,
your spending.
dear shareholders.
Pay abroad and why all
May I
in
call
know.
for the national anthem? May I seek the indulgence of a shareholder here to give us the opening prayer. May I crave the indulgence of the House to call for a shareholder to kindly give us the opening prayer. Oh, okay. Thank you, Alhaji. Please take the lead. Okay. Thank you.
Praise, adoration, glory, and thankfulness be to Almighty Allah, the owner of the world, the most beneficent, the most merciful. He alone do we seek for assistance. He alone do we worship. Guide us to the right path, the path of those who enjoy your pleasure, not the path of those who has gone astray. We start this meeting in your name. We seek for your support. We seek for your protection throughout the meeting. We pray to Almighty Allah to guide our board of directors, our management, throughout the process of this meeting. In the name of Almighty Allah, I pray. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamu alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Amen. The name, please, for the record. Thank you, Alhaji Muhammad Atanda. I hereby call on the registrar to confirm the quorum and percentage representation. Registrar, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, distinguished shareholders, director. My name is Frank of. I represent Africa Prudential PLC, the registrar of Infinity Trust Multi. For the purpose of this meeting, we have received proxies 20, holding of 2.5 billion, representing 62%. We have 33 shareholders attending physically. Mr. Chairman, I hereby confirm that the quorum has been formed. Thank you.
Thank you, Prudential, African Prudential. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the 17th annual general meeting of the company, for which notices has been given to members of the company, having the right to attend and vote thereat, and all other persons entitled to receive such notices. I declare that a quorum has been formed as required by the company's Articles of Association and I now declare the meeting open. May I introduce my colleagues present with me today. Kindly stand up and take a bow as your name is mentioned. Without any particular order, I respectfully call on Mr. Akin Arikawe, OON, a non-executive director. Not here. Engineer Babatunde Olaleke, a non-executive director. Mr. Dada Adebokoya, a non-executive director. Mrs. Okwa Ene Iyana, FCA, independent director. Major General Dr. Ishaku Penap, retired, non-executive director. Mr. Sunday Olumari, managing director. Dr. Nkechi Bibilari, non-executive director. Mrs. Abisola Oluseyi Obaleye, FCA, non-executive director. Finally, my humble self, who is sitting between a lawyer and a banker. Engineer Adeyinka Bibilari. She said Jesus Christ was crucified between two thieves. Yes. It's a lawyer and a banker. I was put between the two of them. May I seize this opportunity to officially inform you that Alhaji Muhammad Abubakar, who was here with us last year, one of our independent directors, retired last year after serving the bank for 2 terms of 4 years each. His retirement is in line with the CBN policy on tenure limitations for directors of banks and in line with the Corporate Governance Code as released by the regulator. Alhaji served meritoriously. If not for the tenure limitation, he would still be with us today. We cannot thank him enough for his contributions to the growth of the bank in the 8 good years he served. Having followed the laid-down processes, another independent director has been appointed and CBN approval has also been received. In due course, it shall be introduced to the House for your ratification. Thank you. The representatives of our external auditors, Aminu Ibrahim and company, is also present with us. Can you please wave to the meeting? Thank you. Also present physically are our regulators and the members of the audit committee of the company. It is my pleasure and privilege to call the representatives of the following to wave to the meeting as I call the name of the institution: the Central Bank of Nigeria. Nobody? The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. Oh, she's waving from the back. Nigeria Exchange Limited. Not here. Okay, okay. They're here. Okay. The representative of our registrar, African Prudential Registrars, is physically present. Which is okay. She changed it. Thank you for being here. The members of the Statutory Audit Committee are also present. Mr. Franklin Akiyosoye, online. Mr. Lawrence Wele, online too. Mr. Oweye Olusegun Emmanuel, online. Oh, he lost his mother. Oh, sorry about that. I most sincerely and humbly welcome you all. To facilitate the smooth conduct of this meeting, I would like to inform you that members present here could second each motion put to the meeting. Thereafter, comments will be invited on the motion before votes are cast for or against. I will therefore request that those who wish to speak and are physically present with us should indicate by raising their hands first. For voting, members are expected to indicate by raising their hands for and against any motion put to the meeting. In the absence of any objections, I crave your indulgence that the notice of this meeting, having been previously forwarded to all relevant parties, and also appearing on pages 5 and 6 of the audited reports, be taken as read by this meeting. You will read it? Otherwise, the Company Secretary is now hereby called upon to read out the notice of the meeting.
Notice of Annual General Meeting. Notice is hereby given that the Annual General Meeting of Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank PLC will hold as follows. Date 11th May 2023. Venue 4th floor Infinity House, 11 Kara Namoda Street, Area 3, Abuja. Time 10 a.m. prompt. The following businesses will be transacted at the meeting. Agenda: ordinary business. To receive and consider the audited financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2022, together with the report of the directors, auditors, and audit committee thereon. To declare final dividends. To elect and re-elect directors. To ratify the appointment of Dr. Olufemi Fabanwo as an independent non-executive director. To re-elect the following directors who are eligible to offer themselves for re-election. Number 1, Dr. Nkechi Bibilari, non-executive director. Mrs. Abisola Obaleye, non-executive director. Mr. Akin Arikawe, non-executive director. To authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the independent external auditor. To disclose the remuneration of managers. To elect members of the audit committee. Special business. To fix the director's fee for the year ended 31st December 2023. Notes. Proxy. The person entitled to attend and vote at the meeting is entitled to appoint a proxy to attend and vote in his or her stead. A proxy need not be a member of the company. A proxy form is attached to the notice of the meeting posted to the shareholders. To be valid, a proxy form must be duly signed by the shareholder and stamped at the stamp duty office and returned to the registrar or company secretary not less than 48 hours before the date and time scheduled for the meeting. Right of shareholders to ask questions. Shareholders of the bank have the right and may ask questions on the proceedings of the meeting or may send such questions in writing prior to the meeting. Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 404, subsection 6 of the Company and Allied Matters Act, CAP C20 LFN 2020, any member may nominate a shareholder for election as a member of the Audit Committee by giving notice in writing of such nomination to the Company Secretary at least 21 days before the Annual General Meeting. The Central Bank of Nigeria Code of Corporate Governance has indicated that some members of the Audit Committee should be knowledgeable in internal control processes. We would therefore request that the nomination be accompanied by a copy of the nominee's curriculum vitae. Dividends. If approved, a dividend of 6 kobo per share is payable to shareholders whose names are registered in the Register of Members as at close of business on the 14th April 2023. Dividends warrants will be posted on the 15th May 2023. If approved, dividends of 7 kobo per share is payable to preference shareholders whose names are registered in the Register of Members at the close of business on the 14th of April 2023. Dividends warrants will be posted on the 15th of May 2023. Closure of Register of Member. The registers of members and transfer books will be closed from 17th April to 21 April 2023 by order of the board. Thank you.
May I recognize the presence of the representative of the CAC, Mr. Ocha, in the house. May I also suggest that the chairman's statement on pages 32 to 36 of the published annual reports, having been previously circulated, be taken as read by the meeting. Is there any objection to this suggestion? Thank you. The next item on the agenda is to receive and consider the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2022, together with the reports of the directors, auditors, and the audit committee thereon. I believe that you have all received a copy of the annual reports and accounts of your bank for the financial year ended 31st December 2022. If you turn to pages 24 to 30 of the report, you will find the report of the directors, and with your permission, I will take those reports as read. Thank you. The original accounts and copies duly signed are available at this meeting for verification. I now call on the representative of our external auditors to read to the meeting the report of the auditors for the year ended 31st December 2022. This can be found from pages 82 to 86. The financial statement and the notes to it can also be found from pages 90 to 197. May I call on the auditors to please have the floor to read the report to the meeting.
The chairman, board of directors, distinguished shareholders, I wish to stand on the existing protocol. My name is Chinedu Eze. I represent the firm of Aminu Ibrahim & Co., the external auditors to Infinity Mortgage Trust Bank. The report of the auditors is on page 62 to 60. Is it 82? Sorry, 82 to 86 of the report. So I read. Report of the independent auditors to the shareholders of Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank PLC. Opinion. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank PLC as at 31st December 2022 and of its financial performance and its cash flow for the year ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, and in the manner required by the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA, 2020, the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011, and the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020, and the relevant circulars and guidelines issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria. What we audited. We have audited the financial statements of Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank PLC, which comprises the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2022, and the statement of profit or loss, statement of other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and the notes to the financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. Basis of opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with International Standards on Auditing, ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the mortgage bank in accordance with the Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Other information included in the financial statements. The directors are responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the director's report, chairman's statement, sustainability report, corporate governance report, risk management report, audit committee's report, and any other reports excluding the financial statements as defined in our opinion paragraph above and our auditor's report thereon. Our opinion on the financial statements do not cover the other information, and we do not express any form of assurance conclusions thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information, and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statements, or our knowledge obtained in audit, or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. If, based on the work we have performed, we conclude that there is a material misstatement of this other information, we are required to report that fact. We have nothing to report in this regard. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that in our professional judgment were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements for the current period. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole and informing our opinion thereon, and we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. Key audit matter. Loan impairment. Why was it a key audit matter? We focused on this area due to the size of the loans and advances balance net of impairments, 12.26 billion naira in 2022 compared to 2021, 9.91 billion. And because it requires significant judgment in measuring credit risk in line with the expected credit risk model. Areas where significant judgments were required include: 1. Identifying and determining the criteria for assessing significant increase in credit risk. 2. Classification into the three-stage impairment process. 3. Incorporating forward-looking information in building the economic scenario used in the model valuation of collaterals. 4. Techniques that are used in the calculation of probability of default, loss given default, and exposure at default. Loans are measured at amortized cost, less any impairment charges. On initial recognition of a loan, a 12-month expected loss allowance is recognized. That's stage 1. And the lifetime expected loss allowance is recognized when there has been a significant increase in credit risk since initial recognition, stage 2. Stage 3 requires objective evidence that an asset is credit impaired. How the matter was addressed in the audit. We performed combined controls and substantive tests in assessing the adequacy of the mortgage bank's allowance for impairment charge. These audit procedures consist of understanding and testing the controls designed and applied by the mortgage bank for its credit risk management, impairment process, and the ECL model. We also reviewed individual loan files to evaluate the reasonableness of the internal rating model. These procedures included selecting a number of individual loan files, taking into consideration outstanding balance, sector concentration risk, and focusing on those loans with a higher risk, with a higher credit risk profile, and or an actual event of default in the year under consideration. We analyzed and compared credit classifications over the last 3 years for further assurance on management classification. We challenged the appropriateness of management's key judgments in the ECL impairment model, including valuation reports of collaterals, scenario analysis, and techniques used in calculating the probability of default and loss given default. We assessed the adequacy of the model by reperforming some model calculation to confirm the risk parameter output. The result of the impairment testing is as stated in notes 18 D to F of the financial statement. Directors' responsibility for the financial statements. The directors are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards, and for such internal controls as the management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, the directors are responsible for assessing the mortgage bank's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting, unless they either intend to liquidate the mortgage bank or to cease operation, or have no realistic alternative but to do so. The directors are responsible for overseeing the mortgage bank's financial reporting process. Auditors' responsibility for the audit of the financial statements. Our objective are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an audit report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but it is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with international standards on auditing will always dictate a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in the aggregate they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. As part of an audit in accordance with ISAs, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of material misstatement of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error. Design and perform audit procedures responsive to this risk and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk of not dictating a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omission, misrepresentation, or the override of internal control. Obtain an understanding of the internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstance, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the mortgage bank's internal control. We evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and relevant disclosures made by the management. We conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of accounting, and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the mortgage bank's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in our auditor's report to the related disclosures in the financial statements, or if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of our auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the mortgage bank to cease to continue as a going concern. Evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statements, including the disclosures, and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and the events in a manner that achieves fair presentation. We communicate with the directors regarding, among other things, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identified during our audit. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. The Companies and Allied Matters Act and the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act require that in carrying out our audit, we consider and report to you on the following issues. We confirm that we have obtained all the information and explanation which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. The mortgage bank has kept proper books of account so far as appears from our examination of those books, and returns adequate for our audit have been received from branches not visited by us. The mortgage bank statement of financial position and comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account. The information required by Central Bank of Nigeria Circular BSD 12004 on insider-related credits is disclosed in Note 38 to the financial statements, and there were no penalties paid for the contravention of Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act during the year. This report was signed on 9th February 2023 by the engagement partner, Musa Issa Idris. Thank you.
Thank you, the firm of external auditors, Aminu Ibrahim and Company. May I give your indulgence to inform you, I've just been reliably informed that the director, one of our directors, Mr. Kinyarikawe, who has ever missed this meeting, is in the hospital with his doctors, and he'll probably be joining us if he can finish on time, if he's discharged on time. And if not, our prayers are with him. Thank you all. May I now call on the chairperson of the audit committee, Mrs. Okwa Eneyana, to present the report of the audit committee to the members of the company. The report is on page 87. Mrs. Yana, please.
Thank you. The report of the audit committee. In compliance with the provisions of Section 404, subsection 7A of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap LFN 2020, we confirm that the accounting and reporting policies of the bank were in accordance with statutory requirements and agreed ethical practices. In our opinion, the scope and planning of both the internal and external audits for the year ended 31st December 2022 were adequate. We have also received, reviewed, and discussed the audit report on management matters, and we're satisfied with the responses thereon. The committee reviewed the audit report on related party transactions and are satisfied with their status as required by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The committee also reviewed the IFRS disclosure requirements and is satisfied with the disclosures thereon. The internal control system of the bank is also being constantly and effectively monitored. Dated 9th February 2023, duly signed by myself, Mrs. Okwa Eneyana, Chairman Audit Committee, on behalf of members of the Audit Committee as listed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Iyana. May I present the financial statements and reports on pages 90 to 197 to the meeting for the period ended 31st December 2022, which has just been presented. We will be pleased to answer any questions which you may have on these statements. May I now call for questions and comments on the financial statements. Please. Name, please bring a microphone for them. Name and then your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My fellow distinguished shareholders, members of the High Table, and all relevant authorities within. My name is Augustine Nemeke Zechukwu, the President of Capital Shareholders Association. Mr. Chairman, we are happy for today, and on behalf of my fellow shareholders, we are happy once again. Each time we come here for AGMs, it's always a day to smile and be happy because of your consistency in paying us dividends. Apart from that, there's a lot of information here, though unfortunately I received this annual report here before I came in here, which is not supposed to be so. So unfortunately, whatever I have to say here has to be so impromptu. So we thank God for this report, because the report is very clear and very in summary as a whole. And all the awards received here, you have done so much for this company. We thank the chairman and other board members, even Mr. Olabode Ayeni. He's a very nice guy. He has been trying to relate very clearly with the shareholders. So because we always advocate that shareholders should have a pattern and a system whereby we can have a discussion upon discussion. Because if there is any issue, we need to see somebody we can relate to. And that guy has been very wonderful in terms of our relationship with the shareholders. Mr. Chairman, on page 34, a lot of improvement in your awards. You have received a lot of awards. You have improved on your performance. This bank, I'm so proud that the bank was able to achieve a lot in this 2023 by increasing and crossing the borderline of 2 billion. Is a very good feat. Mr. Chairman, I know there's so much to talk about, but I want to use this means again to call on the regulatory authority to see that this issue of unclaimed dividend, something is done more to see that issue can be reduced. Because the last time I was at the CSCS, I discovered that a lot of shares are lying there with the owners, don't even know they are there, except those who have the opportunity to do what they call war search. It is that war search which you pay, and it's very expensive now, that we're able to know that some of your shares had scattered. So I call on the regulatory authority to see how they can harmonize the system in terms of the KYC, know your customers. Since all the information about our shares are being with CSCS, CSCS should be able to harmonize this with other registrars and should be able to harmonize with the registrars and should be able to harmonize this with the shareholders and the stockbrokers. Because when you are buying a share, they ask you for all your information and your details. And these details are always with your registrar and your stockbroker. So why would it now take difficult for the shareholder to be going from one registrar to another, whereby some of them give you very stringent conditions, which are very difficult for you to meet up? So they should be able to harmonize this information so that everything about the shareholders should be able to domicile in one arrangement to make it easier so that these shareholders can claim their dividend. Because if we don't encourage the shareholder to have access to their money, and now government is trying to dip hand into that coffer, which we have been fighting to see that it doesn't work that way. Please, I use this one to ask. And the members of SEC, there have been a lot of, we used to have what they call a shareholder, registered shareholder academy, whereby those research associations can express their feelings, and then the information, what is going on in the capital market, can be expressed to other shareholders, because they are closer to the ordinary shareholder, minority shareholders. So this academy should be revived, Mr. Chairman. It was during one of the directors, that is Uruma Ete, that academy was established, and we should continue, because it's a very good opportunity for shareholders and fellow investors to know what is going in the market. The last time we traveled to Togo for EcoBank International, we met her, and she said she's going to advise the SEC to continue that academy. Mr. Chairman, on this note, I'm going to stop here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Augustine Ezechukwu. May I call on further comments? Yes, the man in blue at the back. Blue at the back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for recognizing me. Good morning, everyone. The board and my fellow shareholders. I always give kudos to this board for your consistency in organizing AGM at proper time every year. I'm Oyiwola Musmala from Ibadan. For organizing AGM every year and declare dividends. And this is the major things as investors and shareholders, we take note of it. We look where you see a company declare dividends every year. And I want to give also to commend you for your disclosure. When I look at the annual reports, virtually everywhere you disclose all the details. All the indices are well up, is up. And the way our auditor, external auditor, even read everything out, I don't know what question I have to ask. It's only the pages of sustainability reports. And out of all the IGM we've done this year, I think you are one of the best to report sustainability reports according to FRCN guidelines. So, Mr. Chairman, there's this thing I want to ask. When FRCN was training us recently, with this report, is there any minority shareholder or audit committee member on this committee where you report sustainability report? That's what I want to ask. Can you hear me, sir? I said sustainability reports that I give kudos to you, that I really commend you. Out of all the AGM we've done this year, you are one of the best to give this report to us according to FRCN guidelines. It's the latest report that company has to include to their annual report every year. So I'm now asking, is there any one of the audit committee on this committee also, on this committee that reports sustainability report, or any minority shareholder or any independent directors? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take note of that. We'll take the questions. Take it down. Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, regulatory authorities here present, very distinguished shareholders, I am Honorable Kola Alaga. I am the National Coordinator of Unique Shareholders Association. I'm a member of G8, and I'm the interim chairman of Coalition of Shareholders Association in the Southwest. Mr. Chairman, sincerely, I must appreciate you for not misinterpreting the new Business Facilitation Act recently signed by Mr. President. Most companies are misconstruing this to mean that they should hold their meeting electronically. Sincerely, Mr. Chairman, shareholders are very happy that you are one of the banks holding their meeting physically. Shareholders, are you not happy? So having said that, Mr. Chairman, I looked at your report. Everything there is positive. You have grown the income, you have grown the assets of the company, and you are declaring dividend. When I look at annual report of companies, if they don't declare dividend, I don't speak there. Because what I love most is dividend. So clap for them for that. Mr. Chairman, declaring dividend means that you are proactive in what you are doing. And that means that the board has given a very good policy to the management, and that you continue to appraise them from time to time. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to challenge you to keep it up and to continue in that giant stride to give us dividend every year. But, Mr. Chairman, we want to say that we want the era of Kobo to go. From next year, I want to believe you give us naira. Is that not what you want, shareholders? So, Mr. Chairman, straight to the annual report and business of the day. I want to ask, we have loans and we will be recovering loans. Most of the loanees might be recalcitrant and they may not want to pay. On this note, Mr. Chairman, I want to ask, how many cases have we on this issue of loan recovery? And if we have cases, how much is our claim in those cases? Secondly, Mr. Chairman, I also want to praise you, the board and management of this country. When I look at note 43, page 195, no contravention. And this was equally reported by the auditor. Mr. Chairman, this also shows that you are proactive. Shareholders, give them a good round of applause. Mr. Chairman, I am saying this because I've seen a company whereby their contravention is about 273 million. You continue to wonder whether they don't have a compliance officer in that bank. But that is not the issue here. You have done well, and we continue to applaud you for that. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, I looked at note 44 on the same page 195. I discovered that customers' complaint is nil. That also shows that we are able to manage our customers very, very, very well. Mr. Chairman, I want to tell you, keep it up and continue to encourage the staff so that they can do more. Mr. Chairman, I have very many questions, but let me just limit it to about 3 now. Let's look at note 28, with due respect, sir. And that has to do with unclaimed dividends. Mr. Chairman, I said note 28, and this has to do with unclaimed dividends. I want to ask you, how much did you generate from the unclaimed dividend during the year under review, knowing fully that you must have invested the money? Secondly, Mr. Chairman, the purportedly signed new business facilitation law also make it mandatory for all public companies. Before, it used to be at least 3 independent non-executive directors. But in our own case, when I checked notes, page 26, with due respect, I discovered that we have 2 instead of 3. And one has equally resigned now. I believe you are bringing in another person. But the new business facilitation law made us to understand that we should have at least 1/3 of the directors as independent non-executive directors. My question is, what are we doing to ensure that we bring in some minority shareholders into this issue? Mr. Chairman, on a final note, I want to ask regarding the real estate development loan. How much did we grant during the year under review? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. God bless all of us.
Thank you very much for the question. Okay, bring the microphone here.
The chairman of the board of Infinity Mortgage Bank, directors here present, my fellow shareholders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my name is Judo. I say good morning to you all. Mr. Chairman, when I came in, I remember the first thing I told you that for every year we are having meeting, I see a chairman that is looking more younger than he is before. So, Chairman, you are going to, we praise God for your life, and we ask God to continue to strengthen you, sir. Mr. Chairman, I also saw my boss and my what I say, my mentor, the former managing director, Dr. Banjo, sitting here. I know that this is his family. He will not miss today. We thank him for what foundation he has laid, and we ask God to continue to bless him too. Mr. Chairman, you talked about someone who is close to you, a barrister, and also Mrs. Tolu Osho has been for so many years in this company as company secretary, and for every year she has been adding value. We appraise you. We thank you for all effort you have been putting in place for the betterment of the company. Mr. Chairman, we commend you for bringing in a new independent non-executive director who is not here, and I understand that is not also feeling fine somewhere. So we pray that his coming on board will add value to the company and make us to continue to grow stronger and stronger. Mr. Chairman, I will commend the robust financial results, because initially I have a fear when Dr. Banjo is going. I said, who is going to enter this shoe? And Mr. Olumori really, surprised me so much. He and his team and the general staff of the bank, I commend their robust financial performance, which shows the increase in gross earning by about 19.27 to 2.09 billion, with a net profit after tax of 633.5 million, which came on the heel of a % rise in the net interest income to about 1.42 billion, and a decrease in the net fees and commission and of course, a slight increase in the other operating expenses. On page 6, which I will combine with page 28, I want to commend your dividend payments of 6 kobo out of an earning per share of 14.18 kobo. Mr. Chairman, I'll be asking you once again to tell us whether there is a dividend policy in place for the company. This will allow us as investors and stakeholders to be able to predetermine the mindset of the directors in the reward of dividend. This is the 16th year of consistent dividend payments, and we are breaking a record. Infinity is one of the best mortgage banks in Nigeria. Very strong, very reliable, and of course, has the potential of becoming the bank of the year in Nigeria. On page 35, Mr. Chairman, that is your statement. And I always look out to the statement of the chairman. Particularly in that statement, you said, and I quote, the outlook you said, though the world see challenges in 2023, but you, as the chairman, you are seeing opportunity and a better future, which means you are very, very optimistic. Mr. Chairman, I don't know how optimistic you are, but before the election, I wasn't optimistic because I know anything can happen. But you predetermine and say you are optimistic. So we look forward to giving us that assurance so that we ourselves can be on the same pedestal with you. We have seen a lot of political uncertainties and insecurity. And of course, some of those signs are still there. On page 39, MD2 issued a statement, and it titled that statement, Our People. Mr. Chairman, on that the MD statement, I want to draw his attention to the recent JAPA syndrome. And JAPA means the recent movement of so many intellectuals, young in Nigeria. This in itself has posed so much challenges to the industry, not only Infinity. So I'll be asking you, what are those challenges that movement have caused? And number 2, how do you intend to address those challenges? We have seen some departments like IT that there was a massive movement of staff out of that place. And so it causes so much problem. On page 40, I commend the capital adequacy ratio of 44% and the liquidity ratio of 31.3%. This is far beyond the regulatory threshold, and also, despite the high cost of operation, the cost-to-income ratio reduced significantly. On page 45, Mr. Chairman, an award was given, and we want to recognize the fact that it was given to Infinity. Several awards on page 45, and we appreciate that. Mr. Chairman, on page 68, on the tenure of office of your directors, and I want you to open the statement and look at it carefully. Mr. Chairman, you will find out also on their profile, page 14, page 15, page 16, 17, and 18, outlining all the directors and their date of appointments. Virtually almost, the directors who are sitting here, almost 60% of them are going to be caught up with the tenure limits. We're having a tenure limit for non-executive director, and also for independent non-executive director, including you yourself, the chairman. So I'll be posing to you a question to know what you are doing to put in place a replacement plan to fill in the gap as fast as possible. On page 74 to 75, page 74 to 75, I want to commend the board sitting, which shows that the directors are taking seriously their work, and it shows their level of commitment to the company. But, Mr. Chairman, I will request that you spread the sitting date of the directors. Once again, look at that page 74 and 75. On the 15th of November, check the board sitting now. On the 15th of November, there are 3 committees sitting: the back committee, the governance committee, and the board information technology. On that date, Mr. Chairman, check, on the 15th, there was 3 committees sitting for a day.
2 or 3?
3.
No.
1, 2, 3.
On the 15th of November, 3, please. Check very well.
I will explain to you.
Yes.
I will give you reason.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I'm a little bit worried because General Ishaku is retired, but he is made to work 3 times that day. Somebody who should be resting, and you are making him to go through a committee for 3 good committees that day.
Did I tell you I'm tired?
So Mr. Chairman, I'm a little bit worried because it is not easy to run from back to back on that day. So, but it will be something desirable if we are able to at least spread some of these sitting dates, like having 2 in a day to that. Yes. On page 65, on page 86 and 195, Mr. Chairman, they have talked about the fact that there was no penalty. So we congratulate the MD that they did not pay penalty. And also, we have seen also a reduction in the non-performing loan on page 7 from 5.8% to 3.2%. Mr. Chairman, I've talked about the issue on page 92 that has to do with the growth in our earnings. But I'm a little bit worried on inside the account, page 90 and to 92. Mr. Chairman, we have seen the growth in our gross earning by 19.27. We have seen the growth in the bottom line also by 16%. But where my worry comes is actually what really drives us to have a high value in our interest and similar expenses. Also, our net fees and commission also declined from 107 million to 71 million. And also, the operating income also declined. So we'll be asking you to give us answer to that. On that same page too, you will see, Mr. Chairman, on the debt issue and other borrowed funds. Debt issue and other borrowed funds from 4.7 billion also increased to 5.4 billion. This has to do also with the rising cost of funds and its effects. This is attested by the mismatch growth in interest and similar expenses from 354 million to 385 million, which tends to erode the margin and reduce the profits. So my question to you, sir, is how do you hope to address this tendency of high cost of borrowing, which reduce the growth in our earning and also have effects in our bottom line? Mr. Chairman, most often this AGM this year, we have seen a situation where you have high customer complaint. But on page 195 of our account, there is nothing like that. There is nothing like that at all, which means the system of the bank is working effectively. Mr. Chairman, I want you finally on the account to look at the OPEX, page 127. Because if we grow our revenue and also did not take care of how to check the rising expenses, page 127, you will discover that we may be having more lower bottom line. 3 items, 3 good item causes that. One, the adverts and rates. You see it jump from 82 million to 106 million. This page 127, sir. 126, 127. Combined. You see the first is the adverts, which rise seriously. The second is a general industry problem, the diesel expenses and fueling more than doubled the value of the previous year, from 16 million to 37 million. That's number 2. Number 3 item there, which I'll be asking you to explain to us more also, is the director's fee. The director's fee rose astronomically from 28 million to 43.7 million. So these 3 items itself causes the OPEX to move from 516 million to 543 million. So in addressing some of them, we'll be asking you, what are the remedy? There was a bank which we are going to do is their AGM on the 24th and 25th. They've done also to 16% solar in their branch operations, in order to checkmate the energy issue. Are we looking also at that direction to help us? Finally, Mr. Chairman, direct question to you now. 1, the challenges of high interest rates is very, very germane. It's very difficult for the industry to provide mortgage at a single interest rate. This has thus raised the cost of housing finance to an unbearable height for both medium and low income earners. Number 2, the challenges of high cost of energy, also high cost of maintenance. Number 3 is our plea to government that government must draw down by 50% all land charges in order to make housing affordable. The provision of infrastructure is also very necessary by government, and the need for government to speed up the adoption of legal framework for judicial enforcement of mortgages and foreclosure legislation to back the investors' confidence and also bureaucracy. Mr. Chairman, I want to chip in a practical issue to you now. Last week, for the first time when I went to Lagos, I was staying right in VI, and the meeting is to be held inside Lekki. I don't go to that place anyhow as an ordinary person, because it's a big man area. So I now look at my Google, I check the place is after Dangote Sugar Refinery, so deep inside. The Google was telling me that I would spend 4 hours 15 minutes from Ozumbamba, the way where I am, to that place, and I said it is impossible. So because of that, Mr. Chairman, I decided to wake up by 5 o'clock for the first time to trace my journey for a meeting of 9 o'clock to beat the time. But to my surprise, it took me the same 4 hours. 4 complete hours. Yes. Because of some of the road construction that is going on in that place. But the takeaway, Mr. Chairman, is that please look at that area. That area is a potential area for economic development, not only in Lagos, the entire Nigeria. is a potential area. So we must also look at how to establish also some estates within that area. In fact, where we held the meeting, I've forgotten the name of the place, is near to the sea. It's a lot of white people in that place, and they come for leisure. So it's a potential area for us too, Mr. Chairman. Let's look at that area, as they are also commissioning that place, the refinery very soon. Let's see whether we can tap into that area. And finally, Mr. Chairman, I would especially want to thank the Managing Director and the wonderful staff of the bank, the directors, for their sacrifice, their commitment, their dedication, their loyalty to the growth of the bank. May God continue to bless them and guide them. Thank you very much.
I think, sorry, House. I think we should take all the questions we have, because I can even see duplicity in some of the questions. It is better for us to, let me just answer this one, but because you prayed for us, I will allow him to speak. No, everybody cannot address. Please bring microphone to him. He will be the last person.
Mr. Chairman, the members of the Board of Directors, and my colleague shareholders present. My question is going to be brief and straight. Mr. Chairman, let's go to page 44 and 45 combined on economic value added. We note that our dividend payout increase. Yes. The government taxes and levies also increase. They are part and parcel of economic value added. But last year, I speak on corporate social responsibility of the company. In 2020, we invested 4 million on corporate social responsibility. 2021, 5.7 million. But in 2022, we have nil, nothing. My 2022, yes, the year under review, nil. Mr. Chairman, I was here in the meeting last year. I speak on the corporate social responsibility that we should increase our investment in that area where we have our investment and we grow our investment. We have to plug back to the society, to the community, so that to appreciate the glory of Almighty on ourselves and the company. So please, Mr. Chairman, look into that very area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alhaji Muhammad. Thank you very much, Alhaji Muhammad. I know everybody wants to talk about this book of notes. I will want the House to please indulge us so that we don't spend the whole day here, because some people are traveling back to Lagos. I will want all comments. We will read them and will reply you. Please write them down, send them to the bank, either email, and then we will reply you and send it back. Because all the comments are all germane. It is in our interest to communicate with our shareholders. Very soon, you will see our name that we are going further more public. We are selling more shares because we are increasing the capital of the bank. And I think in a few more months, you'll see the advertisement, and there is a first of right refusal for all existing shareholders. But like we have told the people, it's a tough time in Nigeria. I would be very patient to explain most of your questions. Navigating through the business world in Buhari economics is germane or similar to Professor Pella's magic. It's not the easiest of things to do. I've looked at all the questions the shareholders are asking. It's like a weak drum. As you are plugging one hole, another one will be opening. Why don't you have CSR? Why is your director's fee increasing? Then you are also making money. You are not losing money. It is almost like doing magic in this economy. How about staff remuneration? How did you maintain it? How do you maintain your staff? Okay, your diesel went up. Your diesel costs go up. Why don't you think of solar? Believe me, in this year, I will take them in order, but we have invested in solar in smaller branches because they have to be going little by little. If you do them at once, you will not pay dividend and you will throw your account into negative. It is not the easiest of things to do. So I will take these notes. The ones I can answer, I will try and answer them. In no particular order, I will allow Mrs. Iyana to talk about Mr. Mosumola's question about sustainability. Mrs. Iyana, please. That's a microphone there.
The question was whether the shareholders and audit committee had consideration of the sustainability report. And I would like to state here categorically that part of its responsibilities as the statutory audit committee, which is made up of representatives of the shareholders and members of the board of directors, that the accounts are reviewed and considered with every implication as per the auditor's reports, with every implication, including whether the business of the bank is considered sustainable. And so I want to state here categorically that yes, the audit committee considers this factor at every meeting held at statutory audit and board audit committee levels. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Iyana. And all these questions, even if they are not too answered in detail, please, you can still put the questions to us. We'll try and answer more in detail. I'm going to ask the MD also to reply on two issues. First one is the late receipt of this report, which was brought by Honorable Ezechukwu. And the second one is also going to talk about loan recovery and how many are delinquent. I can tell you that it has been a tug of war to give out loans, to make money, at the same time to make sure people don't default in this tough time. That's the biggest challenges the management has, recovery of loans. We try to persuade, we beg, we go to court, we use police, we use so many things. That also will bring me to Honorable Ajudua's question about what are you doing in the bank to make sure that foreclosures, all these things are done. There's a lot of issues between governance and the governed, and the government and the governed. So I will try to explain as much as I can explain, but I will want the MD to talk about why the books got late to you, and secondly, he should also talk about the loan recovery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the reports, what we did was to send you a soft copy through our registrar. That was about 2 weeks ago. So if you did not get it, that might likely be an issue of a mailing system. So we rely on that one. that, okay, since you have the soft copy at least 14 days in advance, that will have had the opportunity to go through it. So that even if we give you the hard copy today, it's just a manifestation of what we have given to you before. So that is the reason why we did not give you the hard copy even yesterday. But even at then, we sent the hard copies to our registrar, even though that is about 2-3 days ago, to be sent to you in your various, maybe in your various locations. So I'm sorry if you did not get it, and I'm just assuring you that if there's anything, if there's any omission there, we are ready to correct it going forward. On issue of non-performing loans, you discover that in the banking sector generally, non-performing loan is on the rise. It's on the rise because cost of living is going higher. Ability to pay loan is becoming more and more difficult. Then interest rate too is a contributing factor. But your bank, Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank PLC, instead of having escalated or rising non-performing loan, your bank is recording declining. Last year, we reported to you here that our non-performing loan was 5.8% of our risk assets. Today, we are telling you that our non-performing loan as at December 31st, 2022, was 3.2%. That shows, in effect, that the management is trying to make the quality of your loan better than it was before. Of course, it has always been better. Let me tell you something. Now, the permissible percentage of non-performing loan which CBN authorized mortgage banks is 30%. The board said, okay, you guys, even though it is 30%, we want you to have a non-performing loan of not more than 7%. And management achieved 3.2%. And if you look at it, even if this non-performing loan becomes non-recoverable, none, you discover that the quantity, the quantum of it is still very small compared to what we have booked. And again, I'm even assuring you that, okay, the cases that we have in court is not against the bank. It's the bank that is usually the most of it, so that we can recover. In spite of the problem of non-foreclosure, which is a national issue, which I believe maybe this coming government may address it. That's what we're praying. That if it is addressed, we are going to recover every penny that we give out. So that is my comment about it.
Thank you, MD. This is a forum to exchange ideas about the business that we all have common concern. What we have tried to do is, like the MD has said, if there is no reason a woman does not bear kumolu, that in the meaning of that, for those who speak the language, kumolu means death has taken a very courageous man. And so some of the reasons, the questions that are being raised, we have issues in an economy, like I said before, that is tough. We grew the loan portfolio to 12-point-something billion. Ordinarily, I always carry a koboko on the MD. If you lose people's money, the only alternative in this organization is to go to jail. And that, the previous MD, the new MD, it has ingrained into their DNA. that we do not lose money here. We do not give loans to anybody because we know them. We make sure, and that is why no organization can grow a loan portfolio over 3 years from less than 2 billion to 12 billion and still be recording NPL of lower value every year. We have brought the NPL down to 3.2% of 12 billion. So, like he said, even if all the NPL is taken away, your bank cannot even feel it. We will continue to grow the business and making sure everybody's investment is protected. Not only that, we declared a dividend of 6 kobo out of earnings of 14, and we still put over 6 kobo into retained earnings per share. It is not the easiest of things to do in this environment where people cannot even pay fees for their children, travel to anywhere they want, eat what they want to eat. We are not the government, but we are all the government. All of us saw what has happened in the last few months. Everybody is angry, everybody is tired, but I will implore all of us, like Honorable Ajudu has said, how do you write a statement of optimism in an environment like this? Opportunities only wait for those who are prepared. We will get prepared with optimism and benefit from where we are. That also answers the optimism about Nigeria. We are optimistic, not about leadership, but about Nigeria. We are optimistic about Nigeria. Nigeria will not fail. Soldier go, soldier come, barrack remain. We are grateful to God for life, that we are awake and we are alive. Worldwide, people died in Corona. Some are fighting wars and we are begging for evacuation. Go and bring them home. Go and bring them home. What can you carry? A small box. The future of Nigeria is with God and it will not fall. Amen. So we are optimistic about our nation. And let me correct this Japa syndrome. World over, people go everywhere. It's not only in the bank, it's everywhere. Bankers are leaving, doctors are leaving, teachers are leaving. In almost all the businesses we have, because everybody has a reason why they leave. When people are leaving, some are coming into the same Nigeria. It may not look to us because we are losing loved ones, carrying their load, and say, I'm never coming back, I hate this country. Some people curse the country with that. No. The country is a land that our generations have occupied before us. It is our turn to occupy it. We will do our best and we will also go. And we will leave it for our children and our children's children. The country will not go into fire. The country will not die. Soldiers will go, soldiers will come, barrack will remain. Nigeria will prosper. We will all watch it. So we are optimistic about Nigeria. And secondly, I also got a question about your cost to income ratio. You are strong and reliable. Union Bank will sue you. We are strong, we are reliable, we are not Union Bank, but God is with us. I thank you so much for the comments. I've answered Japa syndrome, tenure of directors. Let me talk first of all, I'm going to take them together. He talked about questions of the cost of directors rising to 68 million per year. I'm sure he didn't know I'm the one. Yeah, is what? 48. He talked about the tenure of directors and replacement gap. Okay, we need to talk about management. There is a huge importance in management, and that is what the national economy also lacks. Ability to manage in tough situations. The shareholder said many of the directors are exiting. What are the plans you are doing? It is tough. Why? Because ordinarily, we should have overlapping directors for a long period so that they can teach each other what to do. But today, you would have looked at this book, you would say, excuse me, why is director representing 100 and something million a year? Why? Yesterday, 43 million. He said we spent 43 million on directors. Yesterday, I did a meeting with them, and I said, how do you tell a director to be coming in from Lagos to Abuja to be attending meetings 3 times a day? 3 times a day, 3 times a day. And you are going to pay city allowance. Say, no, we won't pay. We only pay 1 city allowance. That's why your question said, is he tired after retirement? Yes, he retired but not tired. So we try to manage the economy in such a way that it will not affect bottom line. Shareholders can still get dividend. Don't not spend all the money on yourself like a demented mother chicken that is eating her own eggs. No, don't eat your own eggs. Allow your eggs to mature and let them produce so that the company can grow. That is why I said I will take all your questions at the same time. They are all interrelated. The directors cannot be spread out because if they travel and come, you must pay for the transport, you must pay for how the allowances for how they sleep, and they work for you. Yesterday I told them, we don't even pay these directors well. Because, okay, look at the cost of flight to go and come back from anywhere in Nigeria. If you come, even if you live in Port Harcourt or Owerri or Lagos, and you are flying to Abuja, now a return flight to and fro, if you are unlucky, sometimes 70-something thousand one way, 60,000 one way, 55,000 if you are lucky, if you book on time, one way. So when you multiply all these things, you find out that at the end of the year, what you are paying your directors will almost overtake your profit. Because you are talking about 43 million. If we spread those meetings out, you are going to almost double or triple it. So the income in the year, profit before tax, is just about 840 or 60. 860. And then on the directors alone, you spend 260. And then you report PBT of 600. After tax, you report 400. So most of the directors are just contributing to the growth of the company now because really we have nothing to give. And that is why they cannot afford to be tired. Most of them are out of childbearing age. They should conserve their energy and work for you. With all due respect, sir. So I have talked about the tenure. I've talked about Japa syndrome. I will now talk about unclaimed dividends by Honorable Kola Wole. It's a very horrible issue in the country. I had the question twice. And nobody's interest for government to be saying he wants to take people's money and use it. Already they are taking dormant account money. We are unhappy. We are very unhappy with that. Some people travel out of the country, they don't touch their accounts. And before you know it, it's declared dormant. And the next thing, government say, bring all dormant money to CBN. And we are sending it there. We are already complying with that. Now they are talking about bringing all dividend to the government. But like I said, soldier go, soldier come. Barrack remain. Another set is coming. Like you said, let us hope and pray. Yesterday, I told somebody, I said, it is prayer. We don't know what the government is going to bring. We only know the one we have passed through. Everybody's head right now is below the water. Nobody can breathe. So we are praying and hoping that we will see better times that is coming forward. High interest rate in the account. The MD, we talked about that. There's no need to even explain that. Once you are increasing your loan portfolio to make more money, your costs will be going up too, because you are going to be paying for those money that you are having. For the knowledge of those who are just coming in, I know Honorable Ajudua, Ezechukwu, they are familiar with all this. The cost of running a loan system also depends on how much you are getting the loan. So your own is just a spread. Most of our cost in-house is not increasing, because I query them so much about this almost on every quarter and make sure it does not go up. It is tough for us because even workers, our staff, like every other staff in Nigeria, for you not to japa, you must really love this country and you must be committed to your family, because all of us know the sacrifice of those who are carrying their bag and japa. Sometimes you can't see your parent again for years. So it is a commitment for those who stay back, usually for their family, extended family. Say, I will not go, because if you go, that is a cut-off point between you and your family. Some people don't see their father again until death. They come for burial, or they may not even come. Some don't see their mother. It is not the easiest of things. And that is why we said God needs to help, so that anybody that sits on that chair, whoever sits there, should look downwards and see what people are suffering. It is not just putting food in your mouth. You are losing children to japa. Some people don't see. Some people, I greet my mother every 2 days. Because when you are getting to 100, that's the only thing you look forward to. 90-something years old. And your children enter motor and carry their bag and say they are going somewhere. And they never come to greet you again until death. So the sacrifice is huge. So for every staff that is still remaining behind, for every one of you who is suffering through the mismanagement or the problems in the country, and I want to tell you, sometimes mismanagement is not just about stealing, which is what we are talking now. Managing enterprises is not about stealing. Sometimes the knowledge is not even there to manage the enterprise. So what we have done in the last few years is to make sure that this economic situation does not kill this bank. And dividend, like you said, 16 years of continuous declaration of dividend is to encourage people to know that we will go. Everybody on this table. Some years to come, other people are going to be here. Like you said, all directors are going. We know, we are planning. But we also consider cost to bring in people and pay too much. So the slide is going to be smaller of overlapping. We know we are going, others are coming in. But the bank cannot afford to sustain all of us. We've told the central bank so many times, we've discussed with them, we are gradually bringing in, like Alaji is going, you say, oh, you need 3 independent directors. I say, we know. Alaji has gone, he has reduced cost. Somebody is taking over the same cost. If we pump in more money, more people into a small bank like this, you will not see any dividend again. You will not even see growth, not only dividend. Because everybody needs to have the remuneration commensurate to the effort they are putting in. But we don't even have that. Just give me my flight ticket, give me my hotel bill, give me what to eat with, give me fuel money to come. All this, at the end of the day, you'll be surprised how many millions it goes into. If you pay 200,000 a sitting to somebody to fly in, fly out, go to hotel, pay for Uber, do all those things. And you now spread so many meetings over 3 weeks. He goes, they come back next week, they go to hotel again, they go back the 3rd week. We know that those meetings are killing. We know that it's not the easiest of things. When the situation improves, if the country has more money, Honorable Ajudua and the people who have similar questions, I can assure you, we will let retired people to retire. We would allow them to rest. They can do the meetings once a week or once in 2 weeks even, when the money is there to remunerate over a longer time. So we compress it so that one flight ticket, we don't pay for 3 or 4. One flight ticket, one same hotel booking, let's do all the meetings, usually even with the board meeting, so that you don't go back. Usually if you look at the dates, They are usually a few days before the main board meeting, so that we conserve all the money. It is just management technique. Thank you for that. Let me go again to, we have talked about the decline in operating income. We don't have decline in operating income. We have higher operating income. So debts and other borrowed funds, high cost. I've talked about that. The cost of the money you are borrowing will also be going up. In fairness, I pray that the new government we are already seeing the evolving and the people getting involved. We are hoping that the mortgage sector, the people I have seen there, have also been in the trenches with us over the years. And they are also planning and putting up new policy. And we are praying, we have not seen the final policies, but we are praying that we will get the credit system. We will make sure that people can get better credit. We'll get lower interest rates, particularly for the people, not for train. We will see better things coming in for the people, not only for bridges. We will see lives of people changing. We hope so. We hope the new government, the kind of people that are coming in, if God is on our side, and we should keep praying and hoping for peace, because it's only people that are not shooting guns at each other that will be talking about cost to income, higher cost to income, dividend payment. I'm sure if you have dividend in Somalia or Sudan now, you won't go there to ask. So thank you all for all these questions. I've talked about directors earning, I've talked about solar installation. We have pulled 2 branches out of NEPA this year. We pulled out Maraba, we pulled out Sun City at a cost to make sure they don't pay for diesel or NEPA again. And we're able to bring the diesel cost from 14 million, I think, down to 7 million. So we hope that we will reduce gradually all the branches and finally the head office of it. But like yesterday, I did a meeting with some group of investors. Going solar is not the solution. God should answer our prayers. That the country should go back to where it used to be. Power should not be so costly that people cannot have it. Industries cannot run on solar. It's not possible. This head office, the amount of money to put you on solar here, don't even go there. You're talking over 200 million. So it is not as easy as you think for power to go to solar. It can only be for small people that are consuming their homes. You cannot put a factory on solar. It's not possible. You can't drive the machinery. These are the things to give employment to people. Let us hope that God is on his throne, like we always say, that new people, new agenda, the next 4 years should not be difficult for us. That is what we are praying for. I've also talked high cost of energy. I've talked about that cost to land charges, infrastructures, foreclosures. When the new people that were elected contacted us about what are our problems, they also brought these foreclosures. In fact, we have little issues with foreclosures. We are on 3.2%. We know that we have some people on foreclosures, but over the last 20 years, this is the 17th AGM, we have seen that that is not our major problem. Our major problem is that people are poor. I always tell people that when you get older, you speak with idioms. You cannot be living leprosy and be treating ringworm. The cost of MPL is what you should go to. Nobody wants to buy. A few people, yes, they like owing. But majority people do not want to buy a house, put their children and their wives inside, and want you to go to court and tell them to pack out and put their load out and say for sale. That is the last thing on the mind of a serious-minded man. So our major problem is not foreclosures. Our major problem is poverty. Poverty among the people. If you go to another country, those who are Japa, that is the reason. 6 months in London, he said, Alhamdulillah, I've bought a house. Why? He can pay every month and he can afford to pay. So we need to improve the credit system, which the new government is working on. We need to improve the poverty level, which is being worked on. And I have told them all these foreclosures, infrastructure, land charges, we have fought this over the years. We know those were our problems some years back. We have talked it in some AGMs, that those are the major problems. But today, the major problem is poverty. The major problem is inability to make money. We hope that will change. When you can afford now to give your children money to buy biscuits. Because today, I don't know how many of you here can even do that again. Because, oh, God is crying, go and buy biscuits. If you say that now, you probably not eat in the afternoon if you do that. So we pray that these issues are going to be tackled. God should give us wisdom, because it is we that own this country. No matter what happens, it's always people that are in the government. God should just take control. So the last one is the estate development around Lekki Refinery. We also looked at that. We did not do much about that because, one, we do not believe right now that the rush to build under the water is good for everybody. That neighborhood is totally under the sea. They are living under the sea. It is tough for all of them, but they have been lucky that the flooding has always been very small. Because some feeling between the lagoon and the sea, it is like living in biblical times when Moses crossed the Red Sea. So I would not want to be there, and I wouldn't want your family to be there, because the Red Sea was open, and when some people were going, some people passed, some people did not go, the water came back. So it's a tough deal for those of us who are technical, that you have to check the level of any ground you are building on below the Red Sea. So right now, we believed, and we have acquired land between Ibadan and Lagos. We don't see any reason why development. I've talked to Lagos State government too on this issue. Why are you encouraging development under the sea? There is land between Lagos and Ibadan. There is land between Ogun and Ibadan. There is land all around Lagos. It is selfishness because Lagos land has finished. And Lagos is pushing everybody to that side. But also, if you go the other side of Ota, from Ota to Ayede to Diroko and up there, that is solid land also. Ayetoro, I mean. All those areas, that is solid land. Put railways, put everything there, and people will go and live there and communicate to Lagos straight. But living under the water, all those people, until you get back to Epe and Shagamu, everybody is inside the water. You cannot live there if you have common sense. But they are putting things there. I will not copy people that do that. So the port is okay. They build a lot of infrastructures to make sure water does not come there. But for other people who are just filling and putting in houses, duplexes, and dancing on television, it's a good. Let's pray that we will not witness the synodal of the Red Sea. So I talked to Alhaji Muhammad, also talk about CSR. Only a wicked person will give 4 million 2 years ago, give 5.7 million, increase it second year, and then the third year you are seeing is a 0. Unless their hearts are tough like stone, like Herod, and they say, we will not give anybody anything again. No, we used to go to motherless babies and give things. But at the board meeting, we sit down and look at all the things contesting for the money. We wish we can continue giving CSR. But like I told them, we are almost out of the 7 years of drought. Usually the cycle comes and goes. For those who have been with me on board, I told them, drought is coming. Prepare for it. We are almost out of it. We survived the 8 years of drought. But the Bible is very clear. These things are history for you to learn from. Don't read them. I don't read Bible to get miracle. It doesn't come. I read it like to know what happened to those behind us. They had famine and they prepared for it. That's the story of Joseph. And after the famine went away, the plenty came. But will you be around to see the plenty? That is the key. Manage your resources and don't die. Be alive to see the period of plenty. It is definitely going to come. Awolowo said, darkness will come throughout the night But surely, daylight must come in the morning. So the money must always come. In any society, it is that those that die, that they are all finished. For those of us who are alive by grace, we will see the money after. So it's going to come. So that answers CSR, problems of the money that we're having, increase in this, decrease in that, NPL. Even no management of all those ones should do abuse. It is not the easiest of time for any company. Go and look, oh, ShopRite is going, Coca-Cola is this, that one is going. Anything made loss for the first time in 20-something years. There is no country they make loss. Loss for selling beer. No, it's not possible. Only here it happened. And it is because of the management. Most people cannot spend as much as they used to spend. Things, it's not when you are happy you are throwing party. Even to bury people is difficult now. You ask for cow, they give you goat. All of us have villagers. They tell you, go and bring cow. Say, no, let them just bring goat. Some people even bring chicken now to bury a human being. Yes. Mr. Judah. People also bring frozen fish. People are bringing chicken now to do burial. But before, all of us know that to buy a cow, we were all young when cow was 300 naira. And we were buying cows at 300 naira. Two people, 150 naira. We buy a cow. We saw it. I used to do that in Oka market. At the end of the day, look at all of us today. A cow is 1 million in some places. So how many years work before you can save to buy a cow? So I thank all of you for taking the pain, like you said, within a short hour, they were given the booklet to read it. I keep telling him, some of us were born before internet. We have sent e-copy. We have sent email. See, Honorable Chuku will not even open your email. So until you give us this book, I will put our glasses. That is when we read it. Leave the young ones to be doing that. It's a transition time. Their turn will reach, they will be here. Then they will be doing email and carry iPad. But all of us here, we carry book. So I thank you very much for all the time you have given me and the effort you have put in so far. May I crave the indulgence of the House to move on and get some progress. Thank you. There being no further comments, I hereby move that the audited financial reports, directors' reports, external auditors' reports, reports of the audit committee, and the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2022, now laid before this meeting, be received and adopted. Can someone please second this motion? Mr. Chairman, the lady. I see, and sorry, you know that it's not my, it's a lady. It's a lady, you know, I don't have a choice. She didn't talk. So, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Elijah Bakari Sherifat. I second the motion. Thank
you very much, Elijah. Please don't be annoyed. My mother is alive. My wife is alive. My daughter is alive. I cannot do that. Thank you very much. May I call upon those in favor of this motion to indicate by show of hands? Thank you very much. Thank you. Those against? Nobody. Thank you very much. I now declare this motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the declaration of final dividend. Ladies and gentlemen, the directors are recommending a dividend of 6 kobo per ordinary share of 50 kobo, held as at the close of business on April 14th, 2023. If approved, the total dividend to be paid to shareholders for the financial year ended 31st December 2022 would be 250,226,743 naira, 20 kobo only. I hereby move that a gross dividend of 250,226,743 naira 20 kobo in respect of the financial year ended 31st December 2022 be paid to all shareholders registered in the books of this bank as at the closure of register on the 14th of April 2023 and hereby declared. Will someone please second this motion? It is you. No, but no, it is you. It is you. I don't even want to look up. It's your turn. You will not come.
Thank you, my chairman.
Okay.
I am very glad that you called me to second this motion, despite the fact I wasn't given opportunity to give comments. My name is Adeyekun Kayode Victor. I second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Victor. We are grateful. Any against? Thank you. I hereby declare this motion carried. The next business of the day is to reappoint the external auditors of the company. Our external auditors, Aminu Ibrahim and Company, having fulfilled necessary requirements to be reappointed, I hereby propose their reappointment as auditors of the company from the conclusion of this meeting until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting, and to authorize the directors to determine their remuneration. Can I request someone to please second this motion? Microphone.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Adeyinka Idris is my name. I so second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Idris. Are there any questions on this motion? May I call upon, by show of hands, members to indicate those in support of this motion? Thank you. Any against? Thank you. I now declare this resolution carried. It is my pleasure and special privilege to introduce to you Dr. Olufemi Fabanwo in absentia, who, subject to your ratification today, will serve as one of our independent directors for a renewable term of 4 years, starting from this AGM. Permit me to call on the company secretary to read to the members an abridged resume of Dr. Olufemi Fabanwo. Secretary, please.
A brief resume of Dr. Olufemi Fabanwo. Dr. Olufemi Fabanwo is an accomplished banker with an illustrious banking career spanning 3.5 decades in the Central Bank of Nigeria, where he developed specialized competence in leadership and people management, regulation and supervision of financial institutions, management of the Nigerian legal tender, as well as development finance. His career in the CBN started on the 1st of December 1992 until he retired in May 2017 after meritorious service. In the course of his career trajectory in CBN, he served in various departments of the Apex Bank. He was director of other financial institutions supervision departments, where he superintended over regulation, supervision, and reforms of primary mortgage institutions, financial companies, development finance institutions, and microfinance and Bureau de Change. He retired as a director, Currency Operations Department of the CBN in 2017. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Like I said before, Mr. Ajudua, when he was talking, I said, directors, we don't appoint directors carelessly. This is one organization that must live beyond all of us when we go. So people that we call directors are not here to just drink tea. I have singularly tried to persuade him after his retirement to join the board, and many banks keep begging him too. For somebody who was director of banking, currency supervision, signing Nigerian money, they don't want to just put their name into any organization. So it was, like he said, I looked at you people's records. I decided that I will join you, I will help you out. So it was with us here on Monday when his father-in-law died at the meeting, when they called him that the father's the wife's father is dead, and he had to fly back to Ijebu. But like I told you, we tried to conserve money, but he needed to stay with his family at this terrible time in their time. They need his support. So I assured him that I will still go ahead and present, because the AGM is 1 year. I will present him in absentia, but he's not somebody that is unknown. He was the director of currency, banking supervision, director of OFID. He was supervising all of us. He's like a senior supervisor to all of the banks in Nigeria. So that is why I said I can present him in absentia to you. Though I'm supposed to call on him at this time to come forward to take his seat, I wish to respectfully inform the meeting that he is unavoidably absent, and we request you to please let us go on with the motion. I hereby move, without much ado, this is Dr. Oliver who you have heard about. I dare say we are privileged to have him on the board, as you can see from his abridged resume. I hereby move that his appointment as our independent director be ratified by this AGM. I now invite someone to please second this motion. Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Mr. Odebiyi. I second the motion.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Is there any question from this motion? May I call upon you to please show your hands to indicate those in support of this motion? Thank you. Thank you. Those against? Nobody. Thank you very much. I now declare this motion carried. I hereby move also the motion for the reappointment of Dr. Nkechi Bibilari, Mrs. Abisola Obaleye, FCA, and Mr. Kiarikawe, OON, who will be retiring by rotation in accordance with the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2004, and who, being eligible now, offer themselves for re-election as directors. Can someone support this motion? Single, please. Thank you for the... Okay. It's all right.
Chairman, Honorable Kola Alaga is my name. I so support.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Is there any question for this motion? May I call upon you to, by show of hands, to indicate those in support of this motion? Thank you very much. Anybody against? Thank you very much. And I declare this motion carried. The next business of the day is the election of members of the Statutory Audit Committee of the company. For the directors. No, these are different people. Please, all the directors. It's not here. You put it, not put it here. Okay, that's a mistake. Okay, that's a mistake. But two of them are here. One is in the hospital. Dr. May Nkechi Bibilari, she's here. Mrs. Abisola Obaleye is here. Mr. Kiarikawe is the one in the hospital this morning. Please. How do we say it? May I move a motion for the reappointment for the election? Those in favor, please show hands. Thank you all very much. We are grateful. Anybody against? No. Please take your seat. Thank you very much. You will miss that. You missed that out. The next business of the day is the election of members of the Statutory Audit Committee of the company. For the directors representative on this committee, Mrs. Abisola Obaleye, FCA, and Mrs. Okwa Ene Yana, FCA, have been renominated to represent the directors. Please, can they show themselves by recognition? Mrs. Abisola Obaleye and Mrs. Okwa Iyana. They have been renominated into statutory committee. Please, you can take your seat. In accordance with Section 359, subsection 4, 5, and 6 of CAMA and the National Code of Corporate Governance, which indicates that some members of the audit committee should be knowledgeable in interest control processes, I hereby report that the following shareholders have been validly nominated by some of you as statutory audit committee members representing the shareholders. Mr. Franklin Akinyosoye, Mr. Lawrence Wele, is he here? Oh, yes. Please stand up and let us see you. Mr. Franklin is not around. Mr. Uwe is also in the hospital. Oh, you also came from hospital. Oh, I'm very sorry. Thank you very much. Sorry. Mr. Uwe also lost somebody. Okay, so only 3 of them are here. One of the independent and 2 here. Please, I think you can take your seat, please, because of the hand. Sorry about it. I seek the indulgence of the members to take the election of all at once. Since we need 3 members to represent the shareholders on this committee, and the 3 members have been validly nominated, if no objection arising from their nominations, may I respectfully seek your indulgence to take the election of the 5 members of the statutory. Yes, please.
I want us to believe there were nominations as may be confirmed by the company secretary. But most of those people had withdrawn so that we can have a sail-through or a successful meeting. So let it be recognized that there were nominations, but they have withdrawn because of the board and management of this company. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much. I am grateful and optimistic for the future of Nigeria. When they briefed me yesterday that some members withdrew their nominations so that there can be stability and continuity in the affairs of the bank. We are very grateful for the sacrifices you people are making for the progress of the bank. And like I told you, the future is very bright. I hope we'll sit down one day and I'll be able to tell you that I said so. So I thank you people for the stability. Thank you very much. May I now seek your indulgence to take the election of the 5 members of the Statutory Audit Committee by a single resolution. I need someone to second this motion. Please, madam.
My name is Akewumi Babitale. I second the motion.
Thank you very much, Madam Akewumi. Akewumi Ju. Akewumi Ju. Eh? Akewumi Ju. Thank you, madam. Even me, I like that one. Akewumi na Ju. May I now propose the appointment? Emiloka, Akewumi Ju, they are all beautiful to us. Thank you, madam. May I now propose the reappointment of Mr. Lawrence Wele, Mr. Franklin Akinyosoye, and Mr. Uwe Olusegun, and the directors representatives, Mrs. Abisola Obaleye, FCA, and Mrs. Okwa Iyana, FCA, who being eligible now offer themselves to serve as audit committee members. The members of the committee should be invited to stand up for example, but they have already done that. Any questions to this resolution? May those in support of this motion indicate by show of hands. Thank you very much. Please, directors, you are not voting. And anybody against? Nobody. Thank you very much. I now declare this motion carried. In line with Section 257 of the Company and Allied Matter Act, CAMA 2020, the remuneration of managers are disclosed in page 190 of the adopted audited financial statements for the year ended 31 December 2022. The next business of the day is to fix the remuneration of directors of the company. I hereby move that the fees for non-executive directors be and is hereby retained at 29 million naira only for the year ending December 31, 2023. Such payments to be effective January 1, 2023. Can someone please rise to second this motion? Thank you very much. Microphone. Microphone.
Alhaji Mohammed Atanda, I second the motion.
Thank you, Alhaji Mohammed. Are there any questions before this motion? In the absence of any other further question, may I call on those in favor of this motion to indicate by show of hands? Thank you, please. Any against? Nobody. Thank you very much. I hereby declare this motion duly carried. The floor is now open for any observations, comments, and suggestions from the members on any issues pertaining to the company, if any. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the formal business of the AGM, Annual General Meeting. I now declare the meeting closed. Can I call on a member to please say the closing prayer? Yes, please. Microphone at the back.
صلوا على النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين آمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
Amen. Thank you very much. May I call for the national, Muslim ticket. Thank you very much. May I call for the national anthem?